Cllr Norman.
Thank you, Chairman. As we've already heard this afternoon, all members have an overarching desire to serve their residents. Sometimes to meet their demands is not entirely possible, but one thing we all need is an efficient and timely response from officers and directors in terms of the questions. In my opinion, a timely and accurate response from officers and directors is essential for the council to operate efficiently to the ultimate benefit of all of the residents. One example of this from my ward is representing residents where many hundreds are affected on a daily basis. I've been chasing up responses on this issue since 2020, and indeed I'm still waiting for a formal reply or acknowledgement to correspondence from February of that year. This motion is really quite very simple. It's just concreting something which, in my view, should have already been happening. I therefore expect this motion, along with the First Amendment to it, which I'm quite happy to accept, will be accepted fully by this council, and that all issues can be resolved for residents in a more timely manner. Therefore, I wish to move this motion. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Cllr Norman. To second, Councillor Walker.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You can hear the exasperation in that proposal, can't you? I recognise the sheer inefficiency and logjam that slow communications can produce. So I fully agree that we need to set these minimum standards. I'm beg to second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Walker. Councillor Nickerson.
Thank you, Chairman. I fully support this motion. I think it's a really important motion. I think that sometimes slowness of response, which is often fully understandable from a workload perspective, does impact the work of the councillor. If I had a crystal ball though, and I could magically amend this in the future, I would also include, as well as elected members, I would include residents in this and expect a standard time of response for residents who time and time again contact me, and I'm sure many other councillors, saying that they have contacted the council and they did have a conversation, but it somehow ended up and it's in some kind of black hole of death, and they've not heard back from it for some time. So it's a great motion. I'll definitely support it, but we also need to do something about that in terms of our residents' expectations on contact as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Councillor Daltrey.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to support this motion for Councillor Norman, but I'm doing it tongue in cheek because my responses are straight away. Now I must be doing something wrong. The directors and the officers are more or less here straight away. So I've got no problem, but obviously listening to you guys, you do have a problem. But I'm really happy with the way that the officers and the directors respond to me. But I will support it just because they're from Brid. But I want to thank the directors and the chief exec and all that, because honestly, you answer me straight away. So thank you.
I'm delighted to hear you lead such a happy life, Councillor Daltrey. We have a motion before us, Council. I just need to check that everybody's happy that the amendments are accepted. You're all happy? Show of hands, I'm afraid, is required. Have you show of hands? Can you see a show of hands? No. The show of hands is required to show that the amendment is accepted, then we go to the vote. Lovely. Thank you very much. Now then, we can go to the vote.
Sorry.
Yes, sorry. I didn't. I can inform you, Councillor Sutton, I would never dream of deleting you, and I don't even have the power. Please, would you care to address the chamber?
Thank you so much. Oh, dear. Right, thank you, Councillor Norman, for bringing this motion. I too have had many similar difficult experiences like yourself, and it's all very frustrating. As a member of the Council's Communication and Engagement Review Panel, we have been discussing matters such as this, as the one you raised in the motion today. And I would recommend that we wait for the recommendations and incorporate your points in the final outcomes, okay? So I propose that we move the motion and amendment as read. Thank you, Chair. Seconded by Councillor Nolan. Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Weeks.
Yes, thank you. This is a good motion, and I think it touches on an extremely important issue. And it's an issue that's being discussed currently at our review panel into communications, both internally and externally. If as elected members, we're not able to communicate effectively with officers of the council, and we don't receive responses in a timely manner, then we're not able to effectively do our job. And we're all here to do that job and to represent residents' interests. So it's vitally important that we get an acceptable level of communication and in an acceptable time frame. One of the things I would point out and remind members is that a while ago, the chief executive offered for members to contact her or to give her examples of where members have been waiting significantly long times for a response, or even not receiving a response at all. And whilst I wouldn't want to speak for the chief executive, I'm sure she'd be happy to continue to receive those. Certainly, if not, which I don't believe she wouldn't be, I'm happy to receive them as chair of the review panel, because I think examples are really, really important. The motion makes sense. I agree, though, with what Councillor Sutton and her amendment says. I think it is worthwhile for us to wait until this conversation has been had fully and worked out fully alongside members of the council and council officers. There was a survey that I would encourage members who have not already filled it out to fill it out. The deadline has passed, I think, but you will, if you haven't already responded, please do so. And that is really touching on how you want to communicate with officers of the council, through what medium, and maybe even in what time frame. And I think that it makes sense that we go through that process. As much as I fully support the intention of Councillor Norman in this motion, I think that we need to be clear about what it is that we're asking officers to do and what we're sort of imposing on them with this motion. I think the motion suggests here a holding reply within 5 days and a substantive reply within 15. Well, in certain circumstances, we may want a reply sooner than that. And it may be that through other forms of communication that can be achieved. So maybe, as much as I support the intention of the motion, I would ask members to support the amendment, giving us the opportunity to fully have those conversations, to feed in the responses that we've received from you directly through the survey, but also to have that conversation directly with officers themselves and make sure that what we're asking them to do is reasonable. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Weeks. Councillor Meredith.
Thank you, Chairman. I too agree with Councillor Weeks' sentiments and that this is indeed a good motion. And I also would like to speak in support of the amendments. I do believe that this needs adopting into policy, and specifically I believe it needs codifying so that there is clarity on requirements and on expectations. In fact, as it happens, actually, both Councillor Handley and I, separately and completely independently of one another, suggested this topic in the January workshop scrutiny programmes as a topic for a review panel. And we did this for a number of reasons. All possible facets of communication were things we wanted to see examined, including the very issue we're discussing here today. So I would like to see all of the points Councillor Weeks has just raised, discussed, examined in detail and brought back to this council to be adopted into policy as the recommendations from a review panel, which we will have the luxury of doing later on today with another review panel. So I'd just like to say thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, councillors. And I wholeheartedly support the amendments.
Thank you, Councillor Meredith. Councillor Fox.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, I always speak as I find, as you all know. I will support this, but after 16 years nearly on this council, I've never really ever had a problem with communication. I think it's the way you do it. Okay, I'm a rascal for the phone and I do write letters as well. But I find only in the last week, I've had a few vulnerable residents And I've heard back and had a site visit as well to those people in the last 5 days. So I can only speak as I find. And I'm sure 2 directors who are here now, I remember the 24th of February 2000, when we lost 80 homes in Snaith. And I just took it on myself to walk up those stairs to see our directors. I never invited myself or nothing, but my people needed help and I got that help. So all I know is this, it's much easier, and I do write letters still, and I'm always on that telephone. And I don't know what they think when they know Caroline Fox was on the phone, but I must say, I do always get action. So I can only speak as I find. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Fox. Councillor Bayram.
Thank you, Chairman. Unlike the previous speaker, I do have problems when I send communications. It may be my spelling or whoever I send them to doesn't understand what I'm saying. But the replies I normally get is I refuse to reply to this communication. And I've asked my officers not to reply as well to this communication. I've also come across people, members of the public, who have wrote letters and they've never received a reply. They've received an acknowledgement, but not a reply. How does anyone go about? Can that be changed, or could that information go to this review panel and then look into the situations like that? If there's the chairman of that review panel would like to speak to me, then that'll be fine. But as I say, that is an issue that I find.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bayram.
Yes, so the amendment has already become a substantive motion.
Indeed. The amendment has, to quote from Caroline, become the substantive motion, upon which I shall now request that you vote. So all those in favour, please show. Those against? Abstentions? Thank you. That is carried. Right, thank you for that, members. Councillor Nickerson.
So, like many members today, I am incredibly proud to be part of a council where everybody matters. And we all have